Namaste, good morning, everybody. I hope some of you are going to do catch up later. So, maybe a little in the afternoon when you're doing this. But anyway, we've just been having a little bit of a chat about, the different seasonal changes and how we experience those. And it is interesting because it's part of change, right? So class is probably going to be a little shorter on video tonight. So this is why it's good to do the live classes, because you get some of those juicy pre-class chats that seem to be happening recently and are really, really interesting and confirming or affirming. Right, so we're going to start today lying on our backs, doing a little bit of breathing. We're going to continue to work a little bit with the strengthening idea of strengthening into our center as a way of creating this underlining psychological aspect of the inner strength that you have to get through things. So come to lie on your back and with your feet on the floor. And if you need a rug on to start with, because as we were saying, it's pretty cold and I blew a fuse trying to heat this room this morning, so it's not as warm as I like it. So if you need something extra on you for this, but we are doing some heating breaths, I'd like you just to start to ground down and to relax into yourself, relax into your body. Taking a couple of deepened inhales through the nose and sigh them out through the mouth, nice and slowly and deliberately. Emptying your mind, emptying your tension, your stress. Letting those exhalations be a sense of emptying, of releasing. And just slowly make your way to a quiet space within, to a calm and still body. And that might take more time to an awakened and focused mind. And as we were talking about before, don't, before class, don't beat yourself up about stuff that doesn't come, like you're thinking, I'm trying to do this, I'm not managing. Just compassion and understanding. Breathing out a sense of frustration if you are frustrated with yourself. And in that sort of energy, we can still find a sense of ease, even if there's some turbulence. We're going to place the hands on the floor with the palms facing down alongside the body. I want you to try and relax the features of your face. And we're going to come into the Kapalabhati breathing again. So we did this the other week. I can't remember how many weeks ago now because I skipped a week, and so it's a bit confusing where I'm at. My bottom mind doesn't really hold this information well. But this is the pumping of the lower belly. We're taking a quick sharp inhale and pumping the exhale out. And just see how you go doing it vertically. So usually we're doing this, horizontally, sitting up. So see how you go, and you can just take the pace that you need to take to land. Maybe you're going to do about 20 rounds of breath, or if you are more experienced at this, you can do, 40, 50, 60 rounds. See how you go, just working where you feel good. So we take a deep inhale and pump it back in towards the belly, back into the body, and just pump the breath out. So see how you go. Inhale. After about 20 to 40 pumps, depending on how fast you are, you take a deep inhale and then you hold the breath. And then you let the breath out completely and fully. And then on the bottom of that exhale, just hold it and suck that lower belly back in towards the spine. So you're really scooping the belly. And then allow the inhalation to return. I hope you understood this releasing of the breath and then sucking the belly in and up. So the ribs begin to lift and fan a little, but the actual belly itself is concaved, really like a bowl. So let's have another round just for practice and to begin to heat the body and connect with this area of the body, the core, the center. Exhale, and then a nice deep inhale. And hold the breath. You might even like to squeeze the pelvic floor muscles, the perineum slightly while you relax the rest of the abdomen to hold that breath in. And then exhale out slowly, releasing the contraction in the pelvic floor. And then at the very end, holding the breath, we're going to suck up and in. Relax your shoulders as best you can as you do that. And then exhale, release, relax, and just let everything breathe out the way, please, Jess. Take a couple of natural breaths now in. You might like to roll the head a couple of times from side to side, just to release any tension. Let's bring our feet in just a little closer towards the buttocks. They're still at around about hip distance, and the hands can remain sitting alongside the body, the palm facing down. And here we're going to start by inhaling, and as we exhale, just a really slight curling up of the tail. So we flatten the lower back to the ground, and then we inhale and release it. And we want to feel the lower back have that natural arch lifting away from the ground. And then we exhale and slightly curl the tail under so the lower back flattens. And then we inhale to release it. You might like to tilt it slightly away from you. So even the first few ribs begin to peel off the back. And then exhale, coil in, lifting the sacrum off the floor, flattening the lower back, and then exhale, inhale to draw the lower back and maybe a couple of ribs off the floor, and then exhale, coiling and lifting the sacrum, flattening the back, inhale, pulling the lower back and perhaps a couple of ribs off the floor. And just find this little rhythm of your body back and forth, back and forth. You're very conscious in this area, sucking that or drawing the abdomen in a little, particularly as you exhale and tuck the tail or lift the sacrum. Then we're just really, really slowly and gently strengthening those muscles and seeing how the inhale is more open and expanding and the exhale is a more contracting breath. Come back just to neutral, to the center. And now we're going to pump a little bit, like bouncing a ball, but really quickly and low to the ground. Our hips, so it's like a sacral tap. The sacrum is just being tapped and lifted, so this little, the feet are firm to the ground and supporting you here. The hips are not lifting, the hips are sort of lifting, but they're not moving around, and the knees and thighs are nice and steady as well. And we're just tapping up and down, up and down, up and down, this little tapping of the sacrum. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And you will feel now it's really low to the ground and it's really easy to achieve, but you'll start feeling the heat in the belly, the heat in the buttocks, the thighs begin to warm up. So we're talking about winter and lack of motivation in winter. These little small things that are heating but are not taxing, they're not using a lot of energy, can also be quite nice for the body. So just allow that to slowly chillax, relax back, take a deep breath into the body. Breathe as if you can breathe into your buttocks and thighs as well. Feel the magic of the movement, twinkling away through the areas of the body that have been worked. Use your exhalations to relax any effort, any gripping, any holding. And then we're going to lift the feet off the floor, hug the knees in, squeeze them into your torso. You might even take a moment to lift the nose towards the knees, hugging in to a little ball. Little, maybe as you release the head, rocking your feet and knees in opposite directions, like a little swivel on the sacrum from side to side. Hands can be on the knees for that, just supporting this little movement, both legs moving as one unit. And then letting that slow down, come back to the center, placing the hands back along the floor with the palms facing down. So your hands are going to sit just beside the hips, just alongside the hips. And now we're going to lift our feet, our shins, so they're in line with our knees. We're going to take an inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to take our right foot, our toes, so they just gently come forward and down and touch the floor, and inhale back up. And as we exhale, the left foot comes forward, toes just gently touching the floor, and then inhale back up. This time, as we exhale, we're going to draw the heel forward and down to the floor, the right leg, and then inhale back up to the center, and exhale as we draw the left heel forward and down to the floor, and inhale back up. And I just want you to repeat that toe tapping from the right to the left. Exhale, or it's an inhale, exhale. You can do it either here actually. And then the left foot, inhaling. And then as we bring the right heel to the floor. Now try, and I just want you to continue in your own way, your own pace. Changing from toe to heel as you move through this, and trying to really allow the movement to be generated from the belly. So try and keep out of the neck, out of the shoulders. Try and keep nice and relaxed through the features of your face. And if it's too much, I guess, to have the hands beside you. You could try having them interlace behind the head if that helps you keep out of the shoulders and neck, of course. Just do another full round. So that's toes and heels. And then drop both feet down to the floor and have them sitting at around about shoulder distance now. So they're wider than your hips. And then take the arms out nice and wide. They don't have to be in line with the shoulder. And you can have palms facing up or down, whatever suits you. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, drop both knees down to the left-hand side. Look over to the right. Take a breath or two there, and then inhale, lifting back to the center, and then the exhalation as we drop the knees down to the right and look over to the left. And again, it's just a couple of breaths, and then we're going to flow. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Head to right. Inhale, center. And exhale, knees right, head left. And just repeating it 2 more times in your own way, in your own rhythm. And then once you've completed those, coming back to the center and inhale, lifting the feet off the floor. And now you're going to bring your arms so they are in line with the shoulders along the floor, with the palms facing up, or indeed the palms can be facing down if you have trouble, particularly keeping your shoulders to the floor as we twist. Here, we're going to inhale, looking directly up. And as we exhale, keeping the legs as one unit, exhale the knees, the thighs down towards the right-hand side. Don't let them touch the floor, and keep that left shoulder and arm on the floor. And then use the inhale and your belly strength to come up to the center, and exhale, squeeze the legs together and drop them down to the left-hand side, and really trying to keep that right shoulder and arm attached to the floor. And then inhale, lift up with your core strength and inhalation to the center. The exhale back over in slow motion if you can, dropping the knees, the legs carefully together, not all the way to the floor, hovering and maybe just pausing there as you strengthen, and then inhale, lifting back up. Center, exhale, dropping over to the left-hand side, right arm firm to the floor. You know, it might get a little light, but just keep the idea of firmness as the knees hover. And then inhale, back, up. And last round, exhale over to the right, and just keep resisting with that right leg. Both legs are one unit. And then inhale, lift up, push that right leg into the left to get out of there. And then exhale over to the left-hand side, hovering for a moment, gaining strength. And then inhale, press the left leg into the right, lift it out of there. And here we are. Back into the center with the feet remaining off the floor. Inhale here, and as you exhale, draw your knees up towards your left underarm. And then inhale back to the center, and exhale, draw the knees over to the right underarm. And then inhale back center, and exhale, knees to left underarm. Inhale center. Exhale, knees to right underarm. Inhale center. Exhale, left side. Inhale, center. Exhale, right side. Inhale, center. Let's just leave it at that. Place one foot and then the other on the floor. Get comfortable through the torso. Bring your arms back in and just take a moment. Actually, you might even like to just straighten the legs out. Have a little rock shake, roll. Take a deep breath into the entirety of your body, but particularly focusing on the area that's just been worked, belly, thighs, buttocks, or hips, and take a nice deep breath, nourishing that area, opening the area, creating space with the inhale, relaxation with the exhale. And then our feet come up again. So they're just sitting at hip distance behind our sit bones. Arms come alongside the body once again, palms facing down, feet press into the floor, and we take an inhalation as we begin to pick up the hips and peel the spine up the floor. And as you do, begin to really press the feet into the floor and let the arms support you by pressing from the upper arm to the palms into the floor. And then just a gentle releasing of the shoulders as you begin to round down vertebra by vertebra the spine back to the floor. Sacrum is going to be the last thing to hit. And then inhale, press the feet in, coil the spine up, lifting hips, peeling the spine. And as you get higher, press the feet into the floor, engage the arms pressing into the earth and open up, and then release the shoulders a little, and then allow the spine to release back down to the floor, vertebra by vertebra. Sacrum, the last thing to press down. Last round, feet press in, lift the hips, peel the spine, and begin to really push the feet into the floor, and then press the shoulders, arms, hands into the floor. And we're just going to hold here for a moment. I want you to gravitate your inner thighs towards each other as you press the feet firmly into the floor, so then the thighs don't actually come closer to each other at all. And then slowly releasing, shrugging the shoulders, exhale, vertebra by vertebra, back down. Hands come together into James Bond Mudra over our body. So interlacing all fingers by the index and thumb. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, release the arms over your head. Inhale to reach into the arms, and as you exhale, lift up and shoot the arms between your thighs, and look as you're doing it. And then inhale, back over, back to the ground, arms overhead, and then exhale, shoot through. And then inhale, arms overhead, and exhale, looking up, shooting through the arms. Inhale, drop back. Exhale, just lifting to wherever feels right for you. It's cold, so maybe it's not very far, but find that point of resistance in the body, and then hold for just a millisecond before releasing back down. And just keep meeting yourself at that place of resistance in the abdomen with a little minute hold before you release back down. Sometimes on this, I can go all the way up, and other times, like this morning, it's too cold. Can barely lift up. So it's okay, whatever is going on for you. Just work with where you're at, with some integrity, with some sense of ease and okay. 2 more rounds as we feel maybe the upper belly now begin to also heat up. And then as you come back down, just release the hands and let the hands come into a cactus shape. That's, the bending of the elbows. Hands are just overhead, elbows bent, and take 3 deep breaths into the belly. Create space and stretch and release on that inhalation. And as you exhale, just letting go any excess tension created in the practice. Okay, last one before we come up. It's taking a while to get up. We're going to do some spinal rolls. And I'd like you to have a little bit of fun with the spinal rolls. lifting the feet nice and high if you can as you reach over, really swing up. You know, imagine you're on a swing in the playground and you want to go high. Those legs reach up high. Those hips can reach up high. And see if we can find a little bit of, you know, really rolling up into the shoulders, lifting up high as if we're going to come into shoulder stand. Just see what's available for you this morning. And then we're not crossing the legs over on this rolling spinal rolls. And see if you can roll all the way up to standing, or at least you might like to just come into squat pose. Yes. I see a little face poke up. That's nice. You did it. Hurrah. Okay, that's nice. All right. So we're just going to stand up now. So bringing your feet into hip distance and folding over. So we're just lifting the hips up and releasing the head down as we just release here in a nice forward fold, beginning to open up the back of the legs. You could sway a little from side to side, little finger painting perhaps. And then coming back into the center, rolling up like a rag doll. So bend the knees a little more deeply, press the feet into the floor, let the head and arms completely hang. And really press those feet in so it lifts you up and out of there. And then you might like to take the inhalation as the arms come all the way up and overhead. Exhale back down through the center. So we're going to bend the knees slightly, drop, you know, really drop the weight into the feet into the earth. And as we do, we inhale and let the arms rise up and draw the lower navel back in towards the spine as you lift the arms and, you know, lift your chest and your gaze. And then we're going to exhale and fold down, let the heart lead down. And the hands can come to your legs, your blocks, or the earth, depending on where you're at. Half lift on the inhalation, letting the hands right up the legs if they need to, and lengthen the spine and open up the back of the legs. And then on the exhalation, we bend the knees again, soften through the back of the legs so we can allow the torso to just fold over the thighs. And then we bend the knees deeply again and roll up on the inhalation, pressing the feet into the floor to lift us up. Keep bending the knees and let the arms come up and over the head. And as you exhale, straighten the legs and bring the hands to the heart. And then once again, bending the knees, sliding the buttocks down as the arms reach up and over. Take a moment there, hands can be separate or palms together. So just feeling where you feel the groove. A little tuck of the tail and a roll of the sit bones at the same time to keep that nice even position of the hips. So we're not overdosing, but we're also being able to gain some of that strength in the lower belly from that slight tuck of the tail. And then one last inhale as you drop the buttocks slightly lower, and then exhale to fold over your thighs. Half lift once again. And you might, if you have blocks, it might be useful to have them. We're going to inhale and lift the left leg up. So it could be handy to have those blocks directly under your shoulders. And look to see if your leg is in line with your hip. And then exhale, we're going to coil in the nose. And then inhale, we're going to lift the hip and lift out, you know, our torso a little bit. And then we're going to exhale, coil everything in. You can even bend that right knee. And then inhale, lift that left leg up. And see if you can come up onto your tippy toes of your fingers. And lengthen from that lifted left leg to your crown. Take one breath there and see if you can get a little light on your fingers. Draw the lower navel in towards the spine. And as you do, begin to bend that right leg and lift the hands off the floor as you drop the leg down to the floor. Hopefully in line with your hip, if not adjusted. And then inhale, let the arms rise up as you bend into the front knee. Get comfortable in the position of high lunge here. And as you exhale, let's just take the arms nice and wide, back behind us, really stretching out. Take an interlace here and begin to press the feet into the floor, press the feet into the floor. I'm trying to be a little slower in instructions. And suck the lower navel up and in and feel the lift almost from the feet to the navel, navel to the heart, heart now to the hands as we try and reach the hands a little bit away from the buttocks. Beautiful. And then take one more inhale. You might even look up, and if you do, you really want to kick into that back leg, or if you need to bend that back knee, that's also okay. And then exhale to release. Woohoo! Inhale, rise the arms up and maybe a little lift in that back heel. And then as you exhale, drop that back heel down to the floor and allow the arms to just settle at shoulder distance. We're in Virabhadrasana 2 now, our warrior pose. Take a moment just to smooch through your shoulders and just get a little comfortable here, right? So just try not to get too stiff and like, oh my God, I hate this pose, or I need to stiffen to be strong. Actually, there's strength in bending. We all know that. If we're too rigid, then that is that, we tend to crack more and break, rather than if we're flexible and, find that nice ease, then that is what allows us to be here longer and therefore stronger. Take one more breath with a little smile on your face and reach into your fingers and feet and north-south axis. And then as you exhale, drop the right elbow to the thigh, drop the left arm down towards the floor, and then use your next inhalation to take that arm across the face and over your head. So here we are, Parsvottanasana. So reaching from that back foot, I want you to use the back foot as your sort of anchor and focus, because it's easy to be in the front foot, right? Because all the weight is coming to the front. So I want you to really press down through that back foot and try and find a little lift in the arch, so a little breathing space in the center of the foot. And as you press that foot down, reach up into the hand and find a lightness through the right arm. Take one more breath there. And as you exhale, let's just release that left arm to our hip. So you've got a little bit of a breathing space. And then see if you can lift the torso up, but keeping it on an angle, and straighten your right leg. Not wearing the best outfit for you to see. And then just place that right hand along the lower leg, perhaps. You could, of course, have a block here, if that was useful for you in some way, to lean slightly into it. And that is a nice way, or you can use the leg, or if you want to really work with the strengthening of the core, then we use the back of our hand, just pressing gently into the inner lining of the leg, the lower leg. And if you like, inhale and reach that right arm up just for a moment. Left arm up. And then one more breath, inhale both ways, always, and exhale, slowly bringing that left hand down, perhaps to a block or to the floor as you lift that left heel off the floor. And here you can be on fingertips, fist, or palm. We're going to inhale and lift the right arm. And press that left hand into the floor of the block as you reach up into the right hand. And then try and pull back and slightly down your front right hip. And try and lift up slightly and forward the front, the back left hip. And at the same time, we're still pressing into that left hand and looking up towards the right. One more breath. Breathe into all corners of your body. And then use the exhalation to come slowly down, dropping that back knee to the floor and the right hand to the outer edge of your foot. And then just inhale and pull the right hip back, straightening the leg. Take an inhale to look up and then exhale as you dip down. And you might like to just repeat it. Inhale to look up and exhale a little dip down. Inhale to look up and exhale a little dip down. So inhale to rock forward. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then use an exhalation to step back. Taking the right foot to the left, and we land in downward facing dog. And this is our first dog of the day, so, you know, enjoy. Take your time to unwind, and one leg might feel quite different from the other. So maybe walking the dog, maybe wagging your tail a little from side to side. And then after a little bit of warm-ups and getting a little bit more comfortable, lift both heels high, bend the knees, and push the floor away from you with your hands. Rolling those sit bones high, find the sucking in of the lower belly. And then drop the knees on an exhale to the floor. Have them nice and wide. Big toes together, and we just drop the buttocks back down to the heels. And you can take a breather here. You can rock nicely from side to side. You can walk your hands in and start rotating your wrists so they're rolling around each other. So back of thumbs, fingers, then rolling to the heel of the hand, and then rolling to the back of thumbs, fingers, and then rolling to the heel of the hands. Or finding some sort of wrist rotation that works for you, and then changing the direction. Releasing the hands back down, a little rock from side to side. Just trying to release through the hips and also the shoulders. And then an inhale can bring us back into all four paws, bringing the knees in under the hips. And just taking a couple of rounds here of cat-cow, so rolling the sit bones up as you look up with the chest on the inhalation. And on the exhalation, dropping the head and tail, rounding through the spine, completely releasing through the head and neck. Then inhale to roll up, sit bones, lift chest, chin. Press the hands and knees towards each other. As you press them into the floor, press them towards each other. And then as you exhale and drop the head and tail, press the hands and knees away from each other as you press them into the floor. And then inhale, rolling up. Hands and knees begin to pull towards each other. And exhale, releasing down, rounding through the spine as hands and knees pull away from each other. And then inhale, rising up once again, tucking the toes under. And as we exhale, lifting the buttocks high, keeping the heels a little high and the knees bent for now. Press the hands into the floor and particularly firm the knuckle of your index finger into the floor as you do this. And from firming the index knuckle into the floor, pull from the inner arm to the inner shoulder blade down towards your tail, down towards your hips. And just allowing from the outer hips to the outer shoulders to pull back towards the little finger side. And if you can begin to then straighten out your legs, maybe one at a time. We wanted to find that sucking in of the belly. I forgot that. That's easier done, I think, a little bit when the heels are high and the knees are bent. And then we're going to either step or hop forward. So you can just step 1 foot at a time, or you can have the heels quite nice and high and rock the whole body back and forth a couple of times, bringing the weight into the hands and then back and then into the hands and back. Take an inhale and use the exhalation to hop forward, taking the weight into the hands and bringing the feet forward. A little fold at the top of your mats. And you can roll up, but rather than roll up, we're going to see if we can scoop from our lower belly into our chest with the back coming up flat, and then press the feet into the floor and lift up with the flat back. All the way, hands up and over the head. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Take a moment just to feel into all the amazingness that is your body, and that is your body post a little sequence. Feel into the left and right sides as well. I've only done one side, so it's nice to understand the different effects that the sequences have. And then on an inhale, we bend the knees and slide the buttocks down and the arms up. We're going to hold there just for a breath or two as we get nice and comfortable, and see if you can find that slight drawing in of the lower belly here to support you. Take an inhale as we see if we can deepen the chair pose a little bit here. And then as you exhale, begin to lift the sit bones as you draw your torso down. Hands can come to your blocks if you indeed have them. And we do the half lift on the inhalation. Hands can come to the blocks. And then use an exhalation perhaps to lift that right leg back behind us. And begin to just get yourself a little comfortable here. If you need to adjust anything, this is your time to do it. Lengthen from the back right heel to the ground. That's an inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to bend the left knee and draw the right knee and nose towards each other. The right nose. Inhale, lift and lengthen everything again. So straighten the left leg, lift the back leg up, look up, and then exhale. Bend the knees, drawing that back, right leg in, knee to nose, and then inhale, lifting once again. Now this right leg, hopefully around about in line with the hip. So the foot is in line with the hip, even if your knee and foot isn't as high as the hip. We're going to inhale and look up and see if we can get a little light on those fingers and begin to reach from crown to heel or heel to crown. Take one more breath there, and then we just slightly begin to bend that left leg, get light on the fingers as we bring them to the heart and the right foot to the back. To the mats. Well done. Inhale and lift the arms up as we coming into our high lunge. So the knee Left knee coming forward, reaching into the back heel, even though it's lifted. And then we exhale and take the arms really nice and wide, slow motion wide yawn of the body. Opposite interlace behind our back. And then from the feet pressing in and this slight drawing in and up from the belly, we lift up into the heart and begin to lift the hands away from the buttocks. And that lifting of the hands away from the buttocks is expanding our heart. It's opening our chest. Be firm in both feet, but you might need a little extra focus on the back foot. Breathe in, inhale, open the heart, maybe a slight gaze up, maybe not. And then exhale to release. Oh, yum. Inhale, let the arms float up forward. And then as you exhale, a little lift in that back heel. As you drop it, then down on the exhale to the floor. Hands come wide and line up with the shoulders. And we just take our time to make any adjustments that we need to be comfortable in Virabhadrasana to our warrior pose. We need to be a little bit more focused on that back leg, that back foot, rounding down and rolling out towards the outer edge. And that's going to help open up the back hip here in order to have that little lift it needs to sort of be on this angle. The front knee, we want tracking towards the little toe side. So see if you can do that. Firm both your feet down to the floor and see if you can just drop the hips just slightly more. Remember to not be rigid. So if anything starts getting like really tough, I just roll it out. Anytime it gets like, oh God, it's hard here, and you think I've got a grip to stay, then don't. Just roll it out, relax into it, and then just come back into it with a sense of softness. Reaching into all 6 spikes of the body now, so the north-south axis, east-west, and south-east, northwest type stuff. And then we exhale and drop that left arm to the thigh, drop the right arm down and then across, and then let the next inhale lift the arm across your face and over your head. And then as you exhale, you're just replanting everything into stillness. So that back leg really, or foot, really beginning to firm back down, lifting that arch of the foot if you can, find that little space in the center of the sole, and reaching from that rooted foundation all the way up to your hands, your fingers, and then pulling the shoulders away from the ears, particularly perhaps that right shoulder. Taking one more breath here. My right hip, I've been having trouble with my hips recently, and it's just loving this outer hip stretch. So we're going to inhale and lift the right arm up, and then allow the exhalation to drop it to the hip, just to get that achy arm out of the way. And then we're going to lift from our belly up, with keeping the body on the angle, just to straighten that front leg. I've lost you, my computer has lost you, so I can't really see anymore of that. So here we're coming into Trikonasana. So you might like the block, as I suggested before. You could place the hand on the shin, or you might like to place the back of the hand into the inner lower leg and just gently press them into each other to keep with the idea of strengthening our core. Lengthening from the back foot to the crown still, and pulling that front hip back into its socket. So we're keeping nice and integral through the thighs, through the hips. Taking one more breath perhaps to lift that right arm up. And then you can use an exhalation to take the right hand to the floor or a block, and at the same time lift the heel off the floor. Okay, I have to completely rejoin. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Okay, we're going to take that right hand onto the block of the floor, press it into the floor and reach the left arm up. And then from there, begin to settle into the pose. So kick your right heel away from you. And as you do, press the right hand into the floor and try and swivel that right shoulder towards the left knee. And as you do that, you want to also try and pull back and down that left hip as you lift up in that back right side. And you might be able to take one breath as you look up at the hand. And then as you exhale, release that left hand down, release that back right knee down. Untuck the toes at the back if you like. Looking forward, and then we inhale to pull back. Pull that left hip back. You can let the left foot lift off the floor. And the exhalation is really just a bowing over the legs to the best of your ability. Press that left heel into the floor and pull back into the hip. And then you might just inhale a slight lift out of there, and then exhale a deepening into the fold. And again, you might like an inhale just to slightly lift out of there, and then the exhalation to fold. Last one. Yum. So we inhale and rock forward, and as we exhale, we bring that left knee beside the right. And as we're coming closer to the end of class, we're just making a little more smoochy. We just sway the hips from side to side. Just releasing any tension in the hips and back. And then from there, we can widen the knees a little bit, bringing the big toes together. And on an exhalation, guide your hips back down towards your heels. And just stretching the arms out in front of you and placing the forehead either to the ground, or if that doesn't work, you could stack one fist on top of the other or place a block there. You can continue to rock a little, wriggle around a little from side to side, just releasing, allowing the hips a deeper release. And again, walking your hands a little further away from you and into the center so the palms can come together in the center. Use an inhalation to bring the palms in prayer over your head. And just begin to slide those elbows towards the top of your mat. And as you do that, allowing the heart to dip down a little further. Taking a couple of breaths with the gentle pulse of the inhalation, gently releasing that push forward, and then the exhale as you deepen the push of the elbows forward and the dropping of the heart. Couple of more pulsations there. And then release the hands forward again. Bring them in under your shoulders and just gently come up. We're just going to allow our feet to fall out to the right hand side. So as we just kick our feet out, the right foot will be sitting like the heel opposite, or just beside, sorry, the hip, and the left foot is going to be sitting on the inner lining of your left thigh, sorry, right thigh. If you can't comfortably sit here without, you know, collapsing onto one side, you know, maybe it's a little like that, then you can have a blanket and you can place it under that left hip, and that will help keep you upright and even. We want the left and right sides to remain as even as possible. So take any support that you need. Let the hands just begin to float on either side. Just fingertips slightly touching the earth as we lengthen out. The sit bones and tail are having this finding the ground. It's a little like roots that are lifted off the earth and have to grow down towards, you know, the earth. So it's not directly into the soil, but there's this little feeling of liftedness, or it can have, particularly if you've got a blanket under you. But we still want the rooting down through those 3 prongs of our foundation, and then lengthening up through the spine on the inhalation, letting the spine grow up and through the crown. Take an inhale as you ride that breath up through the spine, and the exhalation as you bring your right hand to your left thigh or knee and turn to look over that left shoulder. Now, as you come into this twist, and you can allow the rotation of the torso to continue to evolve, but you just want to keep, there's going to be a little lifting in that right hip, and that's okay. But you don't want to go over lifting, so you're actually twisting from the hip. We don't want that. We want to stay rooted in that right hip, even if it does lift a little, right? But just keep some control over that. Turning the head over that left shoulder. Finding steady breath. And as you hold everything in place there, take an inhale, ride it up the spine. And as you exhale, drop the chin in towards the chest and turn to look forward. And then use an inhalation next to just lift the chin in line with itself. So it's not tucked in anymore. And you might want to bend that back left elbow in order to keep the rotation happening to the left through the torso, even as your gaze turns to the right and the neck is in a right twist. Feel like you're wringing yourself out with a face lock. Take one more breath there. And as you exhale, just gently releasing. You can just lean back a little into your hands behind you to swap the legs out. And if you need to, you can swap your support out, taking a blanket underneath your right hip now. I'm just going to use it for the fun of it. This is just quite comfy. Sometimes even when you can do things, it's nice to take the support. Particularly, I think, in winter, or when things are changing, or when there is challenges elsewhere in your life. Even when you can do something, you can take the support and take the easier path. You're still getting the benefits, right? But you're just taking a softer, easier path because there's enough flux going on elsewhere. So whether that's a seasonal flux or that eternal flux of change is happening in your life, whether that's personally or spiritually, or because of the massive change that is happening collectively on this planet right now, it can be a little aggravating and discerning. So take the support you need to get through, and make your practice always nourishing and delicious and moreish. Let the hands come reaching out to either side, rooting down through our three prongs there, sit bones and tail, and lengthening up through the spine on the inhalation. And then as we exhale, taking the left hand to the right knee, turning to look over our right shoulder. And then just noticing whether there's been too much of a lift off in that left hip, and just adjusting that if there has. Taking the breath, reaching up through the spine, and using the exhalation to soften and allow the twisting to come. Twisting is really a thoracic job, the job of the thoracic spine. So that's really starting from around the navel center, around where the ribs start, not lower. So keep the hips contained and allow the revolving to happen from the navel up. Take an inhale, riding up through the spine again. And as you exhale, drop the chin in towards the chest and slowly guide it across to the front. And then use another inhalation to just place it in order, in line with itself. So the chin is exactly where it should be, not tipped in. Breathing here, and then using perhaps another exhalation to bend that right elbow slightly in order to try and regain some of the rotation in the spine that we just cultivated. And as you bend that elbow and take it back behind you, that's taking the right shoulder back to the right. See if you can continue to encourage the chin to come over to the left. One more breath there, filling out through the entire body. And as you exhale, just really slowly unwind and release and come back to the center. Take a moment just to experience the aftermath, the afterglow of the twist. Take a deep breath. Let the exhalation be full and complete. And then, unfortunately, we've run out of time for any more asana practice, but we're coming into shavasana, the best part of class anyway. So please make sure you're comfortable and warm, so take what you need. You might like a small folded blanket for the head, particularly if your chin lifts, or indeed you feel a little nauseous when you lie down on the floor. So that could be another reason why you might take that. Placing any socks or warmer gear on if you need to. My dog is lying all over my poncho. Come on, Jessie. Thank you for keeping it warm for me. And we're just going to lie down. If you need any support, like a bolster under the knees, or, as I said, blanket under the head, blanket over the body, then please take all of those little bits of support. Lay yourself down on the floor, feet nice and wide, maybe as wide as your mat, taking them to each corner of the mat. Arms can spread out and away from the body, with palms facing up, and draw those shoulder blades in towards each other. Take the flesh of your buttocks down towards your feet and let the feet turn out to either side. You could even lengthen the back of the head a little, and then just allow, once everything is in place and comfortable, just allow the settling, the releasing, the letting go. As we begin the shavasana process, we come directly to the breath. Maybe taking a deep inhale through the nose and exhale slowly out through the mouth. maybe like a whisper, that exhalation. As many as you need to allow the body to really profoundly settle. But at some point, it's nice to seal the lips, soften the features of your face, and just keep a gentle eye on the ebb and flow breath as you completely relax into your entire body. Let your entire body melt into the floor. Feeling that spreading sensation as you actively release any contracting, holding, tension, resistance. Try not to allow the mind to wander too much, at least not wander mindlessly. You may find that you naturally start thinking, or words, images, thoughts begin to flow as the body settles. And that's absolutely fine and completely natural. But as the flow of thoughts and images start up again, just keep a gentle focus on the breath and the experience of your body lying on the floor, without any attachment to the thoughts, sensations, and experiences that arise. Keep seeking contraction. Keep seeking tension, hardness, resistance. And once you find a simple acknowledgement of it, may be enough to let it go. And then we begin to deepen the breath once again. I encourage you to deepen the breath without disturbing the peace within the body that has been created. See if you can press the breath into and throughout the entire body, so you feel it push into the inner edges of your boundaries. And that pushing to the edge of your boundary of your body will maybe instigate some movement, some stretching into toes and fingers. Anything that feels nice for you, including keeping still. If you want to keep still, then we simply, oh baby, we simply roll on to our side. Take a couple of breaths there. And as you're ready, pushing up the opposite hand. Perhaps with the eyes remaining shut, bringing the hands into prayer at the heart center. I sometimes like to bring my hands into prayer at the heart center, but bow the head so my lips just gently touch the tops of my fingers as a reminder to express myself from the heart. Even when there are challenges, things that aggravate us and challenge us, can be a little harder to stay centered and to stay open-hearted. But it's the only way to really tackle change, is to tackle it from an open heart. So just bowing to the powerhouse of your heart, taking a breath in. And as you breathe out, just knowing everything is okay, and everything, despite what it might feel like, is in perfect order. Namaste.
Thank you.